So this is a conversation with me and a member of the program, and we were just chatting about 3D. And I thought we spoke about some things that a lot of people would relate with in this one conversation in terms of the journey of 3D, things that you learn, mistakes that he's made and mistakes that people make in general, insights that I found from coaching for such a long time, as well as parts that he found has been really valuable to him lately, as well as what he's learned. And this wasn't really planned. You know, we chat about 3D all the time in our program, and this was just another conversation that I was cool, and I thought I would post so that everyone would be able to get value from it. So hopefully you find this entertaining, but also hopefully you're able to learn some cool things throughout this conversation and listening to it. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
Stuff, but yeah, this week alone, just playing with lights, just playing with it and looking at the compositor, and compositor is a big deal by itself because of the speed, right?
Yeah.
So up until this point, anytime I make a change to one light, I would feel like I have to re-render the whole thing and wait for so long for renders, not knowing that, just play with the compositor and switch things up. So anyway, long story short, I've learned a lot, and
That's good.
it's been hard, but you know what? It's fun. It's quite fun. I'm still having fun with it every day.
That's good. Like it seems like the past 2 weeks especially has been like really exciting for you. You're learning a lot of new things and stuff.
Oh yeah, huge. And that's how it is for me. I find a lot, because I still consider myself a newcomer to 3D, even though I've been doing it for a number of years. There's just so much, like, it's just an ocean of information, right? There's so much to learn and different directions to go. And a lot of that experience for me has been learning what I don't need and what I don't, I've actually purchased tutorials in the past that I realized right away, like, I'm never going to use this. I'm not interested in this side of it at all. And they've been cheap. I've never really spent a whole lot on a tutorial, but that's all part of the thing. And I don't know, for some reason, I don't know if other students of yours have had a similar experience, but for whatever reason, I have found lighting to be the hardest thing. And even though it seems like it would be a lot simpler than modeling or animation, maybe it's something about me. I get in my own head about it too much. And I think lighting is complex and hard, but I think I'm making it out to be even harder than it needs to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a common thing, but I just feel like I end up looking at renders too long, and then I don't know what I'm looking at, and then I'm making changes while I'm in that state of mind, and I don't know what I'm doing. And then I had to, I was re-rendering things, so I'd have to wait a long time, and just so frustrating because I didn't know what I was doing. But I'm getting there. I feel like it's coming.
Yeah, with the lighting, there's multiple sides to it. Like on one hand, we're dealing with commercials, and you've got a lot of different scenes, and you have to not just light for one scene, but make sure they're all lit well, but also having congruency with the lighting. So one scene's not blue and the other one's red. So that can make things more complicated, but also if you do just look at the same scenes over and over again, you can just end up just moving things around without any real structure of why the lights are even there, and you're just like moving a light there and you're like, oh, does that look cool? And then like 10 minutes later you're like, hey, I actually liked it before. And then that's what can kind of just get you going, like spinning in circles and burning out. But yeah.
I mean, I was doing renders. I was doing so many renders and saving folders that I would eventually come full circle. And then my last render kind of looks like the first one I did. And like, there's really no difference in what I'm looking at now. And I don't know which looks better than the other, but I'm sure that's all just a part of it, and getting my experience and knowing what I'm looking at, right? Like, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, there's some general rules which we'll go through in the coaching call soon. But yeah, that's where like having more of like a structure and stuff definitely helps. Like, we already have our process for this commercial is already really structured, which would have taken you a lot longer just kind of throwing in scenes and trying to do it that way. But having even more structure with the lighting process, and stuff like that helps. And there's a lot of things we can do to improve it. Like, this is why I'm a bit bullish when it comes to render optimization and stuff, because if you're not waiting so long for your animations to render, and you can render out a whole scene in like 10 seconds, which is possible, it takes you get to the point where you see something a lot quicker, and it doesn't feel like, oh, I need to change things, hit render, and then I'm going to watch a 5-minute YouTube video, and then you go back to it, and then you're like, I forgot what I was meant to be changing and stuff, and then that's where it can just take up a lot of energy. So there is a bit of a process when it comes to visualization with commercials, so that you don't waste time just rendering out stuff.
That makes
we'll go into.
Perfect sense, of course. Yeah, no, cool.
Yeah, it's funny what you're saying with the tutorial thing, because like a lot of issues you're dealing with is just quite common issues. Like a lot of people, I've done this in the past, which is why I find it always funny to hear, because like I was pretty much like all of you dudes and at one stage, and it's like, oh, you buy, because tutorials, what a lot of companies or people do is they'll make a bunch of videos on how to do different things, and they'll just sell it for really cheap. But because it's really cheap, they don't have it putting much effort in it. It's like a bunch of videos on how to do random things. So you buy this thing, and then you watch it, and you're like, oh, it was cool. I learned this little technique. Like, is it something I'm ever going to use? Which is, I think, why coaching is so powerful. Because like you go directly to, hey, this is what you need, as opposed to packaging something for anyone to watch. And that's probably why you found like the past 2 weeks so beneficial for you.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I've explained to a number of friends now what I'm doing, like with this coaching stuff, because they've just been asking what I've been up to. So I told them about your course and what I'm doing. And I don't really have, my personal friends, none of them are in 3D, so they don't really know or care really. But they want to know, just general information about what the coaching is doing. And it's like the general impression is, well, haven't you been doing this for years? Like what's different? Why would you do this? What is it? And it's just the major benefit is the big picture stuff, which you don't get from random YouTube tutorials. Like people aren't putting that stuff out for free. They're doing how to do this technique or that technique, but nobody's out there saying, okay, for you specifically, your career, this is what to focus on, and this is what to not focus on, and here's the general trajectory, based on the experience of a person like you who's done it before. Like that's not on YouTube, right? That's not really on random tutorial packages, at least not that I've seen. And it's certainly not custom tailored to each individual.
Yeah.
So, and although you and I have done very little talking about like technical stuff, we haven't really. It's more big picture. It's more like, here's what your commercial needs, right? Like in general, and I'll figure out the nuts and bolts of how to do it, but tell me what it needs, right? Yeah, it's just been very beneficial. And I've been talking to people in the chat, like in the Slack group about it too, because I only have good things to say about this program so far. It's been great. And I want to help encourage other people, especially when they first start out, because it's a bit nerve-wracking to pay right, to pay money and hope that this isn't something that just some slick advertising. And it's not at all. It's really good. It's been very helpful.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I was on a coaching call with like Ollie yesterday, and he said I think you spoke to him, and I think you also reached out to speaking to the new French guy that joined.
I try to speak to everybody.
That's good.
I try to get in there. I mean, I haven't spoke to everyone, but the new guys especially. I like to get in there and be like, hey, this is a good program. Like I was very new, very recently, and it's great. It's great. Like to just stick with it. You'll learn a lot if you're serious about it. And then, I mean, it's also for my benefit too, because the other half of this program, in my view, is the community. That's a huge tool. If people use it, I find like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like people maybe don't use it as much as they should.
Yeah, that has been a thing, and it's because it's been so private, because everyone's doing one-on-one coaching essentially. it's everyone's just communicates with me. They tell me everything. I give a bunch of information, and they just go and they do their thing. But the community aspect, there are people, they post and stuff like that, but it's not like full on like, hey, everyone's doing this, which is why the program is switching more out of one-on-one, which is going to change into group, which is going to benefit everyone, because I'll be doing group coaching calls where everyone can jump on and you'll be able to see what other people struggle with as well. And then that will even incorporate the community aspect more. Because I think, as you were saying with the community side, I think that is one of the most important things. It's not just like, how do you do 3D, but like it is the community side, like being able to just make friends that are doing 3D who are ideally close to you, but even if they're not, just having people you can just chat about 3D with. And I think that's super beneficial. And that's really hard to get from YouTube tutorials or whatever like that, which is why I think this platform is like probably super valuable just because of that aspect alone.
Totally. Like I said, I don't have any personal friends that are in 3D, and it's easy to understand why, because if you're not in 3D work looks like crazy. It's like, why would anyone do that? If you're not interested in it, it just looks like, I mean, people who do it must seem crazy to people who don't have any interest in it, because it's so hard, it takes so long. Every little thing takes forever. If you're not fully into it and having fun with it, of course you're not going to like it, and you're not going to have any interest talking about it. I mean, anytime I get too deep into a conversation about any of this stuff, people's eyes glaze over. They don't care. Of course they don't care. So to find other people online that are involved in the same thing, that's huge. Like, that's especially people who have entered the program, because it's a serious program. Like, they've invested. It's not just a casual drop-in group. Like, you got to pay money to be a part of this. So I already know that they're serious. But I think part of the 3D mentality, people who do it, they're usually loners, right? They're usually people who want to work by themselves. So maybe that's part of the reason why they don't reach out so much. But I don't think I'm really like that. I like to kind of get in people's face a little bit and see what they're up to, and just, encourage them, because I'm gonna need encouragement and advice from all these people too. A lot of these guys are really good. A lot of the students in the group are very good. So it helps me too. I mean, I'm serving myself too. It's not all selfish.
I am trying to incorporate more of the community even more. Like, I'm thinking about doing like social calls and stuff. So we'll be transitioning onto like a new platform, which I think is going to be epic. And I'm thinking we'll do not just mastermind calls, but probably we do like a social call like once every 2 weeks, where people just chat. It's not like, hey, I've got a question or a problem. So like, you guys can just connect with each other and be able to make friends and stuff. Because I do feel like, even though I've made it, tried hard to make it like, hey, you could post whatever you want at any time, respond really quickly, some people do hesitate, like, oh, like, am I allowed to message this dude, or what are they going to think if I post this? Especially got a new guy who's never ever opened any 3D software before. He literally installed it last week. Imagine him posting his stuff. He might be a little bit intimidated, especially if other students come in and they're like shit, and then 3 weeks later they're fucking really good. It's like, he might freak out and feel like, oh, why am I not progressing as much, and this and that. And so that's why there's all things like this I'm trying to work on.
Yeah, that's such a good point. The whole 3D community, like, I think another thing people that they should understand is that, well, at least I see this great potential for the future. If I get to know a bunch of these guys in the chat, and let's say we're all a certain ways down our freelance career, and I run into a client that wants something from me that I don't do, but I know a guy in the chat who's really good at that. Well, he gets a job referral from me. It doesn't all just have to come from the coach or just your own personal efforts. It could be people that you connect with that are also students, right? Like, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I'd like it to start. It's already starting to develop more into that, but like, become more of a platform in a way. Like, sometimes like students will ask questions and other people will answer now, and I don't have to. It's not just like, hey, I'm the god figure up top that does all the stuff. It's like, I want it to feel more like that, so that in the future you guys make friends with each other. Who knows, like a lot of you will start to freelance and stuff, and you guys can grow together. Like, what if one guy is starting to get clients through freelance, like other people can ask him like, hey, how are you doing this? And you can all share knowledge together, and then everyone else grows together. As opposed to, I think a lot of it is just because of this one-on-one nature, which is why I'm starting to shift out of that for the benefit of everyone. Whereas like one guy could be crushing it and getting clients, doing really well, but no one else has any idea that he's even doing that, because I'm the only one that knows. But if it is more of a group focus, some people might be like, hey, like, how did you get that client? And everyone can share their ideas and everyone starts to move up together, which I think is going to be really good.
Oh, for sure. I have this thing. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm so drawn to the new guys, especially, and I want to connect with them, is because when I first started 3D, I felt like, because I was working with SolidWorks through my company, and it was just, touch and go here and there. And then when I eventually found Blender, after a couple of years of struggling with SolidWorks and all the limitations of that stupid software. I mean, it's not stupid. It's good for what it's designed for. But what I was trying to do with it was just not, it wasn't meant to be, right? So when I found Blender and started using it and just had such a good time with it, and it was free, it's like I was given this free gift, right? It was such a life changer. I immediately got a raise in my company. I got a different job title. I got more raises after that. I really climbed the ranks quickly. And I felt like it was just gifted to me. Because when I first heard about Blender and I heard it was free, I assumed it was crap. Yeah. It's like, how could it be good and it's free? That doesn't make any sense. But then I actually invested time into it. And I was like, this is amazing. People just don't know about it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's so many people like me who at this point now, they're brand new. They don't know what to do. And they just need encouragement, and they can really, like, you can just change your life. You can change your life dramatically if you put the time in to learn this stuff. And I mean, I seriously, I got a 40% raise at my company going from, I was doing technical writing, and then I transitioned into the graphic designer that was doing animation and all that stuff at no cost. Like, I just put in time. That was it. I just put in time. It was amazing. So all of that to say, I kind of feel like I owe, because I got that big freebie, I kind of I have so much gratitude, and I have a debt to pay back, I think, or at least pass it along.
Yeah, that's good.
The community is great. Yeah.
That's cool. I sometimes feel guilty with that as well. It's like, if I've already got so many videos and so much in them, but sometimes I'm like, I know a bit more than I'm putting out there, and I feel guilty in a way for like not making videos on that. So I'm like, yeah, like, I need to update some videos here, because I feel you have this feeling like, oh, like I know some stuff, and I feel like I do need to give back, because at some point you're in that person's shoes. And you're right, like, this stuff can, because like it makes sense, you got a raise because it's a higher, it's more specialized skill. It's not everyone can just pick it up and do it. It takes time. For a lot of people, just getting one extra client a month through 3D can be a huge life changer to them. They just improve their work, learn all the stuff that they need to do. That's very, very accessible, because there's a lot of money out there. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And there's more work. There's enough work for all of us. So
there's more work every day.
Oh man, yeah, it's huge. It's so huge. So there's no sense, at least in my experience so far, there's no sense in the 3D community of, well, I don't want to help my competition out kind of thing. There's none of that. It's like, we're all independent, artist types that want to help, and for the most part. And yeah, there's so much work, and it's brand new. I mean, 3D is relatively new. So companies are just kind of coming onto it now that have, I mean, a lot of people don't even know what it is. 3D animation, like, what's that? What do you mean?
I still have to explain it every day to random people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's true. Like,
there's a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, these days, especially with a lot of, the whole, this is like speculation, but the whole NFT and the whole virtual reality, like, that alone is going to provide so much work, whether or not it goes anywhere in 10 years. Like a lot of jobs are going to be provided up until then, let alone just the amount of photography and videography jobs. You know how many photographers are starting to reach out to me these days because they're like, hey, we'd rather just do this on the laptop instead of having to fly to another continent. There's a few people in this program that do photography. They're like, I'm just tired of having to fly everywhere, buy all this equipment all the time. If I could just do this on my laptop and do it even faster with more control and stuff, that would be great. So there's 100% a lot of jobs out there. A lot of people have copied my stuff, just use my exact same videos and put it on their Upwork profiles, but I have no urgency to do anything because it's just there's so much work out there. I don't feel like they're taking anything, So yeah, there's enough work for everyone.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so excited to be a part of this. It's just, plus it's so fun. Like you must feel the same way. Like 3D's fun. Whatever it is about it and my personality that just mesh. It's like a perfect combination of technical and creative, which I find it's a really good balance of everything for me to have to study and work hard and figure out the technical bits, but then also, you use your right brain and be creative and try things. And with 3D, it's like anything visual is possible. Right now, with technology now, anything you can imagine that's visual is and that's not even touching the interactive side of it, but just visual. You have a picture in your mind, you have a sequence in mind. It's just a matter of learning the software and you can absolutely do it. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I think that's why I got into it in the first place and why I liked it so much, because you can literally create anything. Back then, it was a lot harder to do 3D. I had the rendering took forever. But these days, it's so easy to just create stuff. There's still some technical stuff you have to learn, but they're making it so much easier and easier. And especially, like I'm trying to make it even easier through the whole training program where it's just like you just start. It's just easy to create stuff these days. And if you do like the technical stuff, you by all means can also go through that whole process. I like a lot of the technical stuff. These days I'm not as technical, but I think with the technical stuff, the more you learn, it just feels like a sense of like progression. Feel like you're learning stuff and growing your skills. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of gel with that, which I think 3D provides.
Yeah. And the other thing about that is like the encouraging side of that is, there's a lot of technical stuff. There's a lot of things to learn, but you're not relearning. I mean, if you learn about any one given thing, like the animation system in Blender, it's going to change with updates, but it's not like you have to relearn that system. It's going to be minor adjustments here and there. And now you know about animation. And that's one of the main things. If you learn modeling, I'm sure it's pretty well the same across all the different softwares, right?
Yeah.
More or less. You learn the system. Okay, now you've learned it. You've got it in your brain forever. You just keep up with it. And now that's like a really valuable tool that, like you said, is easier all the time. And I find when I do any day I devote to just looking up what's new in 3D. Like there's a few channels on YouTube I follow that kind of give 3D news and whatever. It's almost like every day my mind is blown with what's now available or coming out. And it's something I just learned about, say, last week, and I thought was the best thing ever. And now today it's revamped and it's way better. Like how do these things happen so fast?
Yeah.
Right. And they're so big. Like you're talking about how long rendering was back in the day. I mean, you're a young guy. We're not talking about decades ago.
Yeah.
Or maybe I don't know how long you've been in this, but 10 years ago, maybe there wasn't even really 3D like there is now. Like there really wasn't freelancers back then, but that's only 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? It's very recent. So
yeah, and I think a cool thing what you're saying is like when you do start to learn the skills like modeling, animation stuff, it's applicable to your life. I guess if you're doing like more personal projects and stuff and you have no direction of where it's going or what's the point and just like not finishing it, might feel a bit pointless. especially if you're just learning a bunch of random tools, like just watching tutorials. But if you do have a bit of a direction, like, hey, I'm trying to make this portfolio, I'm trying to get clients, I'm trying to do this, it feels like, oh, I'm building these skills and I'm learning this stuff because it's going to directly impact your life. And I think a lot of people get this fulfillment, like where they do get to a certain stage where you're like, oh shit, I can do this, you know? You see a commercial, you're like, oh, if Porsche came to me and they wanted a, because I know you're doing a bike commercial now, Porsche came to me, they had a new bike and they wanted an ad, like I could do that and I could charge a lot more, I could charge a lot for it. And that's what gives you that feeling of like, kind of like fulfillment in a way, like satisfaction, like, oh shit, I'm good at what I do, you know? And the more skills you learn and the better you do, the like better it feels.
That's one of the best things about it, is as fun as it is and as freeing as it is as an artist and a creative to have all these tools in front of you. And yeah, that's all fun and stuff. But on the other side of that, it's also very, very valuable to any company. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to figure out a company that couldn't benefit from it. Like try to name one company that couldn't benefit from 3D in some way. I mean, it's everywhere. Everyone's got to get on board. And there's so many different directions to go. So it's not just that, you know, I started out just doing 2D and drawing and painting and stuff like that. And that, again, that's all fun, but it's much harder to monetize that. It's harder to sell a company on, oh, you know, my painting can be good for you for these reasons. Like it's not the same. It's not as easy to leverage that into money. People in 2D have a hell of a time trying to get money out of that. But 3D is different. 3D is just a beast, you know.
Because it's so hard, it's like it's a lot more specialized and it's a lot more valuable to people. Even these days, like as easy as 3D can be to learn, most people aren't doing very well. That's why everyone's asking for help. So yeah, there's still so much.
It's easy. I think it's easy when you compare it to 3D in the past.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about just a random person, to sit them, a lot of people don't even know how to use a computer still.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know how to properly write an email. I saw that so much in the company I work for. People do not know how to write emails. I'm talking about like people from Canada who've been speaking English their whole life. They do not know how to properly write sentences.
Yeah.
And so like to a random person, 3D still is incredibly difficult. But it's just getting easier and easier all the time for 3D artists, which is good. I see that as a good thing because it's a hard barrier for entry, right? You're not going to get flooded with a lot of people that are just screwing around so much.
Yeah, I'd actually say it's more accessible, not easier. I think it's easy because, you know, I've made a whole fucking course on this thing. So for me, it's like, oh, just watch the videos and you're good. But I guess for the average person, it would still be as difficult. It's just more accessible because, you know, software and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's cool to hear because I love hearing this all the time. Like we had another guy did an interview with like who did Maya. You using Blender. Blender's free. You don't need to use Cinema 4D or Maya or any of stuff like that. It's just I just teach it because that's what I started using out, and I know where the buttons are, and I don't feel like having to learn buttons for another software. But we've been coaching for a while now, and we've done 100% fine when you're using Blender. It's not because a lot of people think like, oh, like my software and my hardware, and that's what's stopping me, and I need to pay for this and I need to pay for that. But you're making a bike commercial and using Blender, so. You know, if you can do it,
those are the guys.
Anyone else?
Those are the kind of guys that I would love to talk to because I would turn them right around. Because you don't have to spend all the money that I've spent on 3D. It's stuff that I wanted to just help you, like random courses and whatever. But the software itself, it's such a gift, man. And I've been to the Blender conferences a couple times, once, and met the people and like the community and. It's a group of people that are interested in building a community to help one another. And it's like so giving and it's so positive. And again, I was that guy at the beginning when I first, I got a buddy who works in games. I guess he's my one 3D friend. And he told me about Blender. He said, I heard about this thing and it's free. It's called Blender. You should check it out. And right away I was like, it's free. Well, then it sucks. I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
I want to do a serious thing, right? I had the same mentality. And you look at these other programs, they cost so much money, like thousands of dollars every year
Yeah.
to subscribe to these things. And oh man, I'd love to get a hold of people that think like that, because that was me for a brief time. And I wasted some time thinking like that and trying to save up money so that I could buy this whatever software I thought I needed, but totally unnecessary. Just got to put in the work, and then the tools don't matter.
Yeah, they really don't. It's like if anything, I would be using Blender now. It's just I don't want to learn where all the buttons are. I know everything is pretty much the same. Like you had issues with your lighting. I was like, hey, like add gradients. I've never opened up the node editor for Blender or anything like that, but you can just show me a screenshot and I'm like, it does the exact same thing. I mean, it's got rounded corners and the background color is a little bit of a different color, but the principles are pretty much the same and you're able to get the same results. So yeah, the software in the end it's not like it's not like if you're using something else, you really can't get good results. So
no, not at all.
Yeah.
I wondered that when I first entered this program. I was wondering, because I knew you're a Cinema 4D guy, so I remember asking you like, well, I'm using Blender, does that matter? And obviously no, you had exactly the right answer. It's like, we're not focusing on the software, it's the principles that are the same across. Cinema 4D is not doing anything fundamentally different than Blender or any of the other programs. It's just, okay, here's how Cinema 4D works. Now go and figure out the translation between Cinema 4D and Blender, and that is on YouTube. That stuff, YouTube is swimming with that kind of stuff.
Here's where you press.
There's no shortage of that, right?
And it's funny because a lot of people come from YouTube, they watch 1,000 tutorials. This is where you click, and then they tell me like, hey, I don't want to just be told where to click. I want to understand how it works. Like, why are we doing things? Like, why do you model in this way and light this way? And that's where people get the value. Because I did have a bit of like almost insecurity at the start. I was like, hey, like, how am I going to be able to teach like everyone? Because like, you need a very specific cut and dry way of doing things. But I realized, hey, people just care more about the fundamentals, not just to do with 3D, like how do you light and stuff, but also like which direction to go with your 3D and what should you be doing and what should you be learning. They don't want to just like me to make like 100 videos and like click here and then click there and click there and now you got a bottle. They want to know like, why do you make the bottle in this way? What's the point of the bottle? How does this apply to clients? All of that stuff is what's more valuable, I found.
Totally. I guess we should start talking a little bit about that. That's one thing I want to ask you about on this call is, for my particular progression, I'm still, like I said, I'm working on the lighting, I'm working on some things, playing around with it. And then what I think I'll do in the coming week or whatever is I'll send you screenshots to see what you think about different lighting tests. And then I'll eventually nail the lighting. I know I will. I'm close. In the meantime, what do you think about, do you have any more specific thoughts about what I should do in terms of career? Because keep in mind, I don't have a portfolio yet. I don't have a website. I don't really have an online presence. And I'm trying to think of the best way to go about that. Like, for example, I'll start with this. What do you think, to get a portfolio started, how many pieces should I have? Because I assume that should be my next step, is just make a few more commercials, right?
For you specifically, so once this project is done, which we're close, I would throw that on the portfolio and then we'll start reaching out to clients. You don't need
just
to
with
have,
the one?
Yeah, just with one, you're fine. We had a guy, Anthony from Africa. When he had a portfolio, he just started reaching out and he's jumping on calls with clients. So while I do think the 3D side is quite important, and most people have shit 3D work, which is why we need to get up to a certain standard first, you don't 100% need like a portfolio and stuff to get clients. It definitely helps. But if you've got one piece like this one, and now you'll know that a lot of it is just convincing yourself, like, hey, I could do this, because you don't want to go get a client and you start panicking. Now you're going to be convinced. it's like, cool, like now you can actually start to go and reach out. It would help if you had more, but yeah, you just you only really need pretty much one.
Well, that's interesting. Okay,
but it's also
that's good to know.
your quality of work's gotten quite high now. If your work was trash, I would give different advice. So,
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people in the program,
Okay.
the quality's gotten good enough to where they can reach out to clients.
Okay.
Yeah, not everyone's in that position.
So in terms of, okay, portfolio, I'm going to make a website, and then I'll build.
You don't even need to do that. You can just have a LinkedIn profile, probably Behance page. That'll get you to your result faster.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So we'll probably do a call on this where we run through the whole process. But
Okay.
I'll save you a lot of time doing what everyone else is doing, because
I'm also working through your videos on the program, the how to get a client stuff. Yeah. I'm in the middle of those now, and they're helping a lot. So yeah, that's good. That's great. In terms of reach out, okay, I get a LinkedIn profile and whatever.
Yeah, then we'll start to reach out to clients. We'll go through, because we still need to go through this commercial here. We'll go through how to set up your profile, put everything together, how to find clients, going through the client avatar, who's your client, all that stuff, how to message them, how to track the messaging to make sure that you're doing it the right way, all of that stuff. Because chances are I'm going to tell you what to do, you're not going to do them right, and then we're going to need to review them and make sure that you're doing them the correct way. And then that's when you start to get onto calls with clients and start hiring you and stuff like that. But that's a lot. We'll go into that.
Okay. And sorry, did you say you're doing a group call for that, or how are you structuring that?
We will likely do that on our coaching call, through a coaching call, because this project's almost finished.
Okay.
But otherwise, I will also have updated videos in the program, because version 4 is going to come out, and that'll run through everything. But also with the mastermind calls, in addition of that, if people do have questions, because there's a lot of people that are doing outreach right now and getting conversations with clients, they'll probably jump on and be like, hey, what do you say here? How do you do this? You can jump on, ask questions, and all of those will be recorded and posted, so everyone can also go and watch that.
Okay. And when are those?
The calendar and the schedule calendar will be posted once it comes out.
Oh, okay. It's not out yet. Okay.
Yeah, the whole platform will change, so you'll see it.
Okay, cool. Okay. Well, I think I'm pretty well set. I mean, it's I like having these chats with you. Yeah, I still know what I have to do and what needs to be done. I'm just, I'm just in the middle of it still. So like I said, I'm going to be doing a bunch more lighting tests. They're going to be a lot faster now that I've figured that part out. So I'll send you, maybe just to make things quicker, I'll send you like maybe a screenshot for every scene kind of thing. And then once you think things are closer, then I'll re-render everything and send the video, if that works, if that sounds like a good process to you.
Yeah, sure. Just 1 second. Yeah, so we'll go through a bit of that in the coaching call now. But yeah, we can also do that, because I know you're very close to like a really good looking thing. It's just like lighting tweaks. But otherwise, I think the only thing is like you are learning how to create commercials, so it makes sense that it's taking a while. But in the future, we do want to cut it down in terms of the timeline for producing this thing. Because if you've got 2 clients that pay you $5,000 for a commercial and they want it done in a month and a half, it's going to be like chop chop. So
I'm banking on the fact that this first commercial is going to be the longest I spend on one commercial. It has to be, because I'm taking so much time. I don't expect any client to be paying for this kind of thing while I'm learning stuff, right? I expect commercial 2 to be lightning fast.
It will be. It will be a lot faster.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we can get into the lighting, and I'll just review your project. Cool.